Welcome to Boston during the tumultuous mid-1700s, a city teetering on the edge of history. Imagine walking through these winding cobblestone streets where the sharp smell of sea salt mixes with the heavy smoke of wood fires. This location is far more than a simple colonial port. It is a volatile powder keg waiting for a single spark. From the freezing docks of Griffin's Wharf to the candlelit secrets of the Green Dragon Tavern, you are stepping into a dangerous world of artisans and rioters. Before the United States existed, there was only this gritty town where the price of liberty was paid in blood. This is Long Wharf, the magnificent gateway to Boston Harbor. Extending nearly half a mile into the deep Atlantic waters, the massive timber pier is flanked by rows of sturdy warehouses and a dense forest of shipmasts. In the distance, the historic skyline features the elegant silhouettes of 7 church steeples and the prominent cupola of Faneuil Hall rising above the city. This sweeping vista highlights the grand maritime architecture that served as the commercial lifeline of New England, defining Boston as a premier global port. This is the Old State House, a 1713 landmark standing at the intersection of Washington and State Streets. Please observe the distinctive red brick facade crowned with the lion and unicorn statues, overlooking the historic cobblestones where citizens gathered beneath the central balcony. More than a mere structure, this building once served as the administrative heart of the colony, hosting council meetings and royal proclamations every day. This iconic architecture represents the profound struggle for independence, serving as the silent witness to the Boston Massacre and the transition from British rule to American self-governance. This is Province House, a majestic brick landmark on Marlborough Street that served as the primary seat of British executive power in the Massachusetts colony. The detailed facade and the prominent octagonal cupola, crowned by a famous gilded Indian weather vane that watched over the city. As the official residence of the royal governors, this building hosted lavish ceremonies and pivotal meetings for the Crown's loyalist supporters. Consequently, the house stood as a potent symbol of British dominance, embodying the royal administration that the emerging American patriots were determined to challenge and dismantle. This is the Old Corner Bookstore, a resilient brick survivor standing at the historic intersection of Washington and School Streets. Originally constructed in 1718 by Thomas Creese, it rose from the ruins of the Great Fire to become an essential anchor of colonial commerce. Observe the classic gambrel roof and rhythmic brickwork that once housed a bustling apothecary shop beneath a private family residence. Importantly, this landmark represents the grit of 18th century merchants and the recovery of the city's urban core. It remains a rare, tangible connection to the early 1700s and the controversial legacy of the site's former owner, Anne Hutchinson. This is the Old North Church, a landmark established in 1723 at 193 Salem Street, within Boston's North End. Crucially, this site represents the dawn of American defiance, famously serving as the location where 2 lanterns signaled the British naval advance, thereby sparking Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. Beyond its revolutionary significance, the Georgian brick structure with its towering white steeple functioned as a vital spiritual center where the local community gathered for daily worship and community news. Notably, this sacred space remains an enduring symbol of the courage that defined America's journey toward liberty. Constructed in 1729 at the busy intersection of Milk and Washington Streets, the Old South Meeting House commands attention with its massive red brick architecture and soaring steeple. While it served as a church, the building functioned primarily as a massive town hall, where 5,000 citizens crowded inside to debate policies that Faneuil Hall could not accommodate. Consequently, this site witnessed one of the most critical turning points in history. Sparking the Revolution, Samuel Adams issued the famous signal from this very hall to launch the Boston Tea Party, forever cementing its legacy as the sanctuary of liberty. This is Faneuil Hall, established in 1742 in the heart of Dock Square. Distinguishably topped by a gilded grasshopper weather vane, the original two-story brick structure served a unique dual purpose for the colony. While the ground floor bustled as a noisy marketplace for merchants, the floor above functioned as a vital town meeting hall for public discourse. Consequently, this venue earned the enduring title, the Cradle of Liberty. Within these walls, revolutionary voices like Samuel Adams first rallied citizens against British taxation, effectively planting the ideological seeds of the American Revolution long before the war began. This is King's Chapel, a massive structure of gray granite standing at the corner of Tremont and School Streets. Completed in 1754, the building appears stark and imposing. Unlike the democratic meeting houses nearby, this location served as the exclusive spiritual home for the British elite, where royal governors and redcoat officers gathered for Anglican worship. Therefore, for the local Puritan citizens, this heavy stone edifice stood as a detested monument to British authority and religious intrusion, rather than a shared house of prayer. This is the Liberty Tree, a majestic elm standing at the intersection of Essex and Orange Streets during the turbulent 1760s. Please observe the straw effigies dangling from its ancient branches, specifically mocking hated British officials like Andrew Oliver. Far beyond a simple natural landmark, this site functioned as the open-air headquarters for the Sons of Liberty, where angry citizens gathered not for shade, but to fiercely protest the Stamp Act and demand public resignations. Consequently, this living monument transformed into the most potent symbol of colonial resistance, inspiring a movement that the British troops eventually sought to destroy by cutting it down in 1775. This is Boston Common in the autumn of 1768, stretching out beneath the elegant facade of Hancock Manor. Please observe the rigid rows of white tents belonging to the 29th Regiment, which completely dominate the landscape. Previously, this open land served the community as a peaceful pasture for grazing cattle. However, the scene has shifted dramatically, with the daily rhythm of civilian life now interrupted by the drilling of red-coated soldiers. Crucially, this transformation from a public green to a military encampment symbolizes the suffocating reality of the British occupation, planting the seeds of resentment that would soon explode into violence. This is the Paul Revere House standing at 19th North Square, captured in the gritty reality of the 1770s. Observe the weathered timber facade and the prominent chimney rising above the bustling cobblestone street. Indeed, this was far more than a quiet residence. It served as a chaotic domestic headquarters where Revere raised a massive family while conducting his trade as a silversmith. Consequently, this modest wooden structure became the nerve center of the resistance, silently witnessing the secret plans that led to the Midnight Ride and the birth of American liberty. This is Griffin's Wharf exploding into open rebellion on the freezing night of December 16, 1793. The violent scene aboard the Dartmouth, Eleanor, and Beaver, where men with soot-blackened faces have stormed the decks. Rather than a peaceful protest, the air is filled with the aggressive sounds of axes splintering wood as these Mohawks systematically destroy 342 crates of East India Company property. In doing so, they did not just dump tea, but actively declared war on British authority. This specific act of treason provoked the Crown into a harsh military crackdown that made the revolution inevitable. This is the Green Dragon Tavern located on Union Street, distinguished by the weathered copper dragon sign guarding its entrance. Although the brick exterior suggests a common watering hole, the building functioned covertly as the headquarters of the revolution. Down in the basement, the Sons of Liberty gathered in secret to hatch plots like the Boston Tea Party away from British ears. Because of this, the tavern became the nerve center of the rebellion, serving as the critical hub where Paul Revere and his compatriots coordinated the intelligence network that would eventually dismantle royal authority. This is the Granary Burying Ground, as it appeared in the 1770s, located on Tremont Street next to the massive wooden town granary. Unlike the orderly rows seen today, the slate headstones carved with winged skulls were originally scattered in a chaotic, overcrowded manner. Crucially, this ground served as a solemn gathering place for a grieving city. It became the final resting place for the victims of the Boston Massacre, whose massive public funeral here turned the cemetery into a sacred site of martyrdom and political resistance against British tyranny. This is the Massachusetts State House, standing proudly atop Beacon Hill in 1798 as the crowning jewel of the new republic. The elegant federal-style facade designed by Charles Bulfinch, featuring a prominent dome that was originally shingled in wood and whitewashed, not yet gilded in gold. Symbolically, this structure marked a definitive shift in power, moving the seat of government from the cramped, colonial Old State House to this grand elevation overlooking the city. For this reason, it stands not just as a building, but as a monument to American optimism, cementing Boston's identity as the hub of the universe. As we leave the cobblestones of Beacon Hill, remember that the Boston of the 1700s was not merely a collection of brick buildings, but a crucible where the immense pressure of tyranny forged the unbreakable spirit of a new nation. Every brick in Faneuil Hall and every weathered grave in the Granary Burying Ground bears silent witness to ordinary men and women who risked their lives for an idea called liberty, proving that history is not just written in dusty books, but lives on in the very streets we walk today. If you lived in 1775 and had to choose between the safety of the crown or the dangerous unknown of revolution, what would you have done? So please let us know your choice in the comments below and subscribe to explore more history with us.